Welcome to the Daily Current Affairs by CivicCentre IAS, where we try to discuss the important articles from the Hindu, the Indian Express, and the PIB from the UPSC CSC prelims perspective. Displayed are the list of articles which we are going to discuss in today's video. The first article of the day is related to Dongria Kondh community, which is a particularly vulnerable tribal group. In this context, we'll talk about the Dongria Kondh community. See, they are a particularly vulnerable tribal group. Know that they are located in the Niyamgiri hills in the state of Odisha in India. Furthermore, they sustain themselves from the resources of the Niyamgiri forests, practicing horticulture and shifting cultivation. Notably, Niyamgiri is a hill range which falls under the Rayagada and Kalahandi district in the southwest Odisha of India. Significantly, its highest point is the mountain known as Niyamgiri or Niyam Dongar. Then, their language is Kui language. Interestingly, the Kui language does not have a script, but it is spoken among the people of the Kondh community. Significantly, they worship Niyam Raja, who was the god of the Niyamgiri forests. Remember that Odisha has the largest population of the PVTGs in India, followed by the state of Madhya Pradesh. Some of the other PVTGs of Odisha are Birhor, Didai, Dongria Kondh, Hilkahariya, Juang, Kutia Kondh, Lodha, Mankirdiya, Saura, and others. The next article of the day says that the growth in India's gross goods and services tax collections slowed down marginally to 10% in August from 10.3% in July, with revenues of nearly 1.75 lakh crore rupees. However, the rise in net receipts slumped to 6.5%, which is the second weakest in this financial year from 14.4% in the previous month. In this context, let us talk about goods and service tax, in short called the GST. See, the 101st Constitutional Amendment Act introduced the GST in 2017. Know that the goods and service tax is a form of indirect tax which is levied on most of the goods and services sold in India for domestic consumption. Significantly, GST is a unified tax system that replaced multiple indirect taxes levied by both the central governments and the state government. Further, GST is essentially a consumption tax and is levied at the final consumption point. Notably, the principle used in GST taxation is destination principle. Also, it is levied on the value addition and provides set-offs. So, as a result, it avoids the cascading effect or the tax on tax, which increases the tax burden on the end consumer. Furthermore, under the Indian GST, goods and services are categorized into different tax slabs, including 5%, 12%, 18%, and 28%. Know that GST was launched with the motto, One Nation, One Market, One Tax. Then some of the prominent examples of indirect taxes in India include excise duty, customs duty, sales tax, service tax, toll tax, stamp duty, etc. The next article says that the Enforcement Directorate has identified several properties of Jaspreet Singh, who is a Dubai-based alleged international drug trafficker. He also sought by enforcement agencies in the United States. Further, he is alleged to have links with the banned terror outfit Khalistan Liberation Force. In this context, let us talk about the relevant aspects from the article. See, the Directorate of Enforcement, or the ED, is a multidisciplinary organization mandated with the investigation of economic crimes and violations of foreign exchange laws. Interestingly, the origin of this directorate goes back to 1st May of 1956, when an enforcement unit was formed in the Department of Economic Affairs for handling exchange control laws violations under the Foreign Exchange Regulation Act of 1947. Later in the year 1957, this unit was renamed as Enforcement Directorate. Know that the Department of Revenue of the Ministry of Finance is the nodal ministry for it. Notably, the headquarters of this Enforcement Directorate is in New Delhi. Now, the statutory functions of the Directorate include enforcement of the following acts, which are: the first one is the Prevention of Money Laundering Act of 2002. See, the ED has been given the responsibility to enforce the provisions of the PMLA by conducting special investigation to trace the assets derived from proceeds of the crime, to provisionally attach the property, and to ensure prosecution of the offenders and confiscation of the property by the special courts. Secondly, the Foreign Exchange Management Act of 1999. Under this, ED has been given the responsibility to conduct investigation into suspected contraventions of the foreign exchange laws and regulations, to adjudicate and impose penalties on those adjudicated to have contravened the law. The third one is the Fugitive Economic Offenders Act of 2018. See, it is a law whereby the Directorate is mandated to attach the properties of the fugitive economic offenders who have escaped from India, warranting arrest, and provide for confiscation of their properties to the central government. Know that both the FEMA and the PMLA apply to the whole of India. So the ED can take action against any person on which this act applies. Further, the cases under the FEMA may lie in civil courts, where the PMLA cases will lie in criminal courts. Notably, ED cannot take an action suo motu. So, one has to complain to any other agency or police first, and then ED will investigate the matter and will identify the accused. The next article says that India's crude oil imports from Russia, which is New Delhi's largest source market for oil, has cooled off sequentially in August from July's near record levels, as oil demand evidently softened in the run-up to the refinery maintenance season, according to the ship tracking data and industry watchers. Relatively, lower availability of Russian oil for the export market was also a likely factor. In this context, let us talk about the relevant aspects about it. See, India currently is the third largest consumer of crude oil behind the US and China. Significantly, Russia is currently India's largest supplier of oil. Further, the Urals crude oil grade of Russia has become a cornerstone of India's energy diversification efforts. Know that Iraq is the second largest source of crude oil supplier to India. Notably, India's efforts to diversify oil procurement channels aims to mitigate geopolitical risks and ensure a stable energy supply. Then, Saudi Arabia is India's third largest oil supplier. Lastly, Abu Dhabi is India's fourth largest supplier of crude oil. The next article says that more than 60% of Indians and more than half of all Pakistanis surveyed believe that two countries cannot have friendly relations in this decade, says a new study by the Center for Policy Research, VOTA. Know that it looks at the attitudes of Indians, Pakistanis and Bangladeshis on a number of political, economic and foreign policy issues. In this context, let us talk about the relevant aspects of the article. See, India and Pakistan are the two neighboring countries in South Asia. Further, the multilateral forums between India and Pakistan are South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation (SAARC), Shanghai Cooperation Organization (SCO), and United Nations (UN). Know that India shares its land boundaries with 7 countries, which are Pakistan and Afghanistan in the northwest, China, Nepal and Bhutan in the north, and Myanmar and Bangladesh in the east. Additionally, towards the south, India has 2 neighboring island countries, which are Sri Lanka and Maldives. Here is the table showing the India's neighbors and the states that share border with them. The next article says that S&T Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh formally released a new Bio-E3 policy. Further, he hailed India as a global torchbearer of the next industrial revolution, thanking Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi for his support. In this context, let us discuss various aspects related to the policy. See, the Bio-E3 policy, which stands for Biotechnology for Economy, Environment and Employment Policy for fostering high-performance biomanufacturing, is a forward-looking initiative designed to bolster innovation, research and entrepreneurship in the field of biotechnology in India. Now, if we look at the objectives of the mission, see, the Bio-E3 policy is intended to foster a sustainable and circular economy through the industrialization biology. Further, it aims to advance cutting-edge innovations in biotechnology, contributing to the creation of a high-performance biomanufacturing ecosystem in India. Notably, the policy aligns with the global and national priorities, promoting a future that is responsive to critical societal and environmental challenges. Now, if we discuss the key features of the Bio-E3 policy, firstly, the policy focuses on supporting research and development and entrepreneurship across various thematic sectors. Further, it aims to accelerate the technology development and commercialization by establishing biomanufacturing and bio-AI hubs and biofoundry. Secondly, the scheme prioritizes regenerative bioeconomy models that contribute to green growth. Also, it supports government initiatives like the net zero carbon economy and lifestyle for environment. Additionally, it aims to promote a circular bioeconomy which emphasizes sustainable and circular practices under the scheme. Thirdly, it facilitates the expansion of India's skilled workforce. Further, it anticipates a surge in job creation, particularly in the biotechnology and related sectors. Now, what are the strategic or thematic sectors under the scheme? See, the policy will focus on several strategic sectors to address national priorities, which are firstly, high value bio-based chemicals, polymers, and enzymes, then smart proteins and functional foods, thirdly, precision biotherapeutics, next, climate resilient agriculture, also carbon capture and utilization, and lastly, marine and space research. The last article of the day says that the days after the centre unveiled its Bio-E3 policy to boost biotechnology-centric manufacturing in India, the Department of Biotechnology is contemplating setting up enzyme manufacturing facilities to bolster ethanol production, according to the scientists and officials with the department. In this context, let us talk about ethanol in general and then about 2G ethanol. See, ethanol, which is also known as ethyl alcohol, is a biofuel produced from various sources such as sugarcane, corn, rice, wheat, and biomass. So, the production process involves the fermentation of sugars by yeast or via petrochemical processes such as ethylene hydration. Significantly, ethanol is 99.9% pure alcohol that can be blended with petrol to create a cleaner fuel alternative. Notably, it can be blended with petrol in various proportions, such as E10, which constitutes 10% ethanol and 90% petrol, and E20, which constitutes to 20% ethanol and 80% petrol. Further, the Indian government has implemented the ethanol blending program to promote the use of ethanol as a renewable fuel. Notably, this program aims to blend ethanol with petrol to reduce the country's dependence on imported crude oil, cut carbon emissions, and boost farmers' income. Also, ethanol blends help reduce greenhouse gas emissions and air pollutants, contributing to cleaner air and mitigating the climate change. If we look at some of the other initiatives to promote ethanol blending in India, they are National Policy on Biofuels of 2018, E100 Pilot Project, Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Yojana of 2019, and Repurpose Used Cooking Oil, in short called the RUCO. Then moving on to talk about 2G ethanol. See, to meet the blending targets, the government is focusing on second generation ethanol produced from surplus biomass, agriculture waste, and industrial waste using advanced biofuel technology. So, 2G or the second generation bioethanol is ethanol that is produced from rice straw as opposed to the conventional method of sourcing it from the molasses. Further, the Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Yojana, which was launched in the year 2019, provides financial assistance for 2G bioethanol projects. Significantly, the first 2G ethanol project was set up by the Indian Oil Corporation Limited in Panipat of Haryana. Additionally, more projects by BPCL, HPCL, and NRL are nearing completion in Odisha, Punjab, and Assam. So, the government's commitment to promoting advanced biofuels through the Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Yojana reflects its dedication to a sustainable and self-reliant energy sector. So, in this video, we have discussed 7 articles total from the Hindu, the Indian Express, and the PIB. We'll be back again with another video tomorrow. Thank you.